Hello everyone and welcome to another random bits and pieces segment from my brain, and today, sit a while, for we are playing some more Franchise Hockey Manager 6 as part of the Ottawa Senators. Alright, so we have climbed a little bit, so we are 6th in the Eastern Conference. Typically we're first by a big margin by this time in the season, but we've been struggling a little bit more than usual this year, so that makes it a little bit more enjoyable, as in it's a little bit more challenging. I've looked around for a D-man. I cannot find anyone that I find suitable that I would possibly be able to get. The one that I was really interested in was Toby Enstrom, and it doesn't seem like Atlanta wants to trade him to me. So I'm gonna kind of stay put in that regard, but that might be something I need to address in the off season. Getting a defenseman that can generate some points, because Mark Streit has not been delivering this year. And Shar and Surrey have also been kind of slowing down, so I don't know. I don't know about that. So the calendar has flipped. It is now 2008 and we are in January, of course, and we are about to begin a new year, a new calendar year, not a new season. So the first team on the calendar in January here is going to be the Washington Capitals. They are doing pretty good. They are 26-10-3, which is good for second in the East. So for the longest time, Washington was really bad in my sim, but they've had a few decent seasons in the past few seasons. So let's see if we can beat them. We're 2-0 against Washington this year. Both games were at home. The last one we won 3-0. So let's begin. We still have some injuries. Patrick Elias is still playing with an injury. Ryan Miller is still out for a couple weeks, and Sheldon Surrey is day-to-day. Alright, so we are playing in Washington. So we have Brian Elliott in net, and Tuukka Rask is going to be in net for Washington. As usual, go Sens go. And we won 4-0, so that's pretty impressive. So, including preseason, because we played Washington once in preseason, we have played Washington 4 times so far this year. We still have not allowed a goal. So we won 4-0 in preseason, then in regular season we won 2-0, 3-0, and now just won 4-0 in Washington. Means that we're able to counter Alex Ovechkin pretty good, which is good. Alright, so 4-0 win, pretty good. So we outshot the Capitals 46-18. Chris Kelly was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals. Zdeno Chara was the second star with an assist, and Mike Fisher was the third star with a goal. So we opened up the scoring in the first. It was Jason Spezza scoring on the power play from Pavel Datsyuk and Michael Ryder, and it was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, Chris Kelly scored from Patrick Elias. It was 2-0 after 2. Then Chris Kelly scored again in the third period on the power play from Marian Hossa, and then Mike Fisher from Brooks Lake and Zdeno Chara. 4-0 is the final score. There's been a fight between Brian Sutterby and Zdeno Chara. Alright, so that's a good way to start the month, with a shutout. Mike Ratchie and David Leneveux are both available. Strong game for Jaromir Jagr, who had a hat-trick against the Sabres. So Jagr is 35 now. I wonder if he's going to play until like 45 or something. Eugene Melnick is happy with my work. We did go 10-3-1 last month. That's not bad at all. And Ryan Miller's about ready to get in practice, so that would be good. There was no stopping Sergei Mozyakin playing for Columbus. He had 3 goals and 2 assists against the Ducks. Dion Phaneuf's assist streak ended at 8 games. He was held scoreless against the Rangers. There was no stopping Zach Parise, who had 3 goals and an assist against the Panthers. Alright, so those guys are either doing better or still taking a while to get acclimated. And then there's been a trade between the Devils and the Coyotes. So Simon Gamache is going to Phoenix and Curtis Foster is going to New Jersey. I think Curtis Foster is probably the better player. Although, you know, they're both 26 and both a star and a half. I still take Curtis Foster over Simon Gamache, personally. Alright, so Jarkko Ruutu is available, as is Todd Marchand. Huh, interesting. Strong game for Brett Hedican playing in Columbus. He had 4 assists against the Kings. Pretty good game. Robert Nilsson with the Islanders is not suspended. Speaking of the Islanders, Andrew Ference is back in the lineup after serving his suspension. Sheldon Souray should be ready to hit the ice back soon. Oh, there's been some shenanigans in the Dallas dressing room. Danny Eatley and Yanni Pessonen have been making pranks and everything. That is no good. Alright, so we are on the road again before going back home for a little bit of a home stretch there. We are in Buffalo tonight, playing against the Sabres. Sabres are not doing good at all. They are 13-24-1, which is good for 13th in the East. We are 2-0-1 against Buffalo this year, so they did beat us in overtime once. Let's see if we can win this one. So we're going to go to Brian Elliott, and he's going to face Martin Biron. And let's see if we can beat them. And it's a 5-2 win. So that's pretty good. We outshot Buffalo 44-19 in that one. Chris Kelly, once again, is the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Jason Spezza was the second star with a goal and an assist, and Zdeno Chara was the third star with a goal. Spezza opened up the scoring again, just like in the previous game, on the power play as well, from Michael Ryder and Pavel Datsyuk, and then Chris Kelly scored from Mark Streit. But then Buffalo scored, made it 2-1 at the end of the first period. Then in the second, we had Chara score from Marianosa and Chris Kelly, then Andre Meszaros from Jason Spezza and Joe Thornton. It was 4-1 after 2. Then Philippe Boucher scored for Buffalo 1 minute into the third period to bring his team to within 2, but then a little bit past the midway mark, Mike Fisher scored on the power play, assisted by Chris Kelly. It was 5-2, and that's how this game ended. Nice win again. James Wisniewski in Chicago is suspended. He's going to miss 2 games. Alright, and we are about to play against the Tampa Bay Lightning, who is completely terrible. So we're about to play them at home. So Tampa Bay is 7-29-5, which is good for dead last in the East. We are 1-0 against Tampa Bay this season. Hopefully we don't lose against them. We cannot afford to. Alright, so Tampa Bay is going to go with Vasily Koshechkin, and we are going to Ray Emery. And we won 4-1. Another win for Razor. Oh dear God. Alright, so we're back on our game now. So as you can see, we have outshot Tampa Bay 75-7. Mark Streit was the first star of that game. He had a goal and an assist. Jason Spezza was the second star with 2 goals, and Michael Ryder was the third star with an assist. We had 16,258 people in attendance for that game. And yet again, for a third straight game, Jason Spezza is the one opening up the scoring in the first period on the power play again from Zdeno Chara and Chris Kelly. It was 1-0 Sens after 1. And in the second period, we have Mark Streit scoring from Michael Ryder and Martin Havlat. Then Patrick Eves from Patrick Eliash. 3-0 Sens after 2. Then in the third period, Jason Spezza scored from Joe Thornton and Mark Streit, made it 4-0. But a little bit less than a minute later, Jarkko Ruutu scored his first, picked up from waivers, I suppose. And that's the goal that prevented Ray Emery from getting a shutout. So 4-1 is the final score in this one. Paul Ranger is available. I'm not going to pick him up. Great night for Mickey Dupont in New York Islanders. He had a hat trick against the Avalanche. Wow. And Sheldon Surrey is ready to come back, I think. Oh, he's going to need to wait 4 more days. Alright, and the next game is going to be in 4 days against Buffalo, so I guess Sheldon Surrey will play that game. Ken Klee is available. Ooh, yeah, he's getting older and only an alpha star now. Darcy Tucker has played in 1,000 games, didn't get a point, and that happened against Dallas. Darcy Tucker, 32 years old, 1.5 stars player. James Wisniewski is back from suspension in Chicago. And then they never learn. Danny Eatley and Jani Pesonen have been getting into trouble because of their pranks. We've seen those news before, so I'm not going to read it again. Alright, so Sheldon Surrey should be able to come back. He is. And then who am I sending down? Am I sending Andre Mazzaros down? I guess I'm going to send Chris Phillips down. I hate to do that to Big Rig, but he really hasn't developed in my game, so... Alright, so we're about to play Buffalo again. We just played them and beat them. So we are now 3-0-1. Now Buffalo is 13-27-1, 14th in the East. It's not going well in Buffalo. Alright, so Brian Elliott is going to face Tim Thomas. And we won 4-1. Alright, we are starting to... Maybe it took a while to get into Lindy Ruff's system or something, but we seem to be playing a lot better now. So we outshot Buffalo 53-13 in that one. Zdeno Chara was the first star, he had an assist. Mike Fisher was the second star with a goal. And Mark Streit is the third star with an assist. 16,419 people in attendance for this game. So, real life Ottawa Senator Clark MacArthur opened up the scoring in the first period for Buffalo. So it was 1-0 Buffalo after 1. Then in the second period we had Alexander Radulov tie the game from Matt Stajan and Zdeno Chara. It was tied at 1 after 2. And then in the third period we scored 3 unanswered. Joe Thornton from Pavel Datsyuk and Jason Spezza. Brooks Like from Mark Streit and Patrick Eves. And Mike Fisher in an empty net from Tim Gleason. 4-1 is the final score. And it's a win for us. Timo Elbling available. Eric Cole extends his goal streak to 5 games with a goal against the LA Kings. So Eric Cole playing in Toronto in my universe. Oh, good night for Chuck Kubasu, who had 2 goals and 4 assists against the Islanders. Pretty good game for Chuck Kubasu. 6 points. Alright, so we are about to play. That team probably should be a rival a lot more than the Tampa Bay Lightning, because we've faced them a million times in the Stanley Cup Finals, but we are about to play the Detroit Red Wings. So Detroit is doing really good. So they had kind of a down season last year, but they're doing really good so far. They are 33-9-3. So we have not played them this season. Let's take a look at their lineup. So Henrik Zetterberg is not playing this game. He is hurt. But still on their roster, they have Jimmy Howard and Chris Osgood. So that's pretty good in net. And then they have Dahlman, Eriksson, Lidstrom, Eminger, Kindle, Nicholas Avlid, Brian Pothier on D. So that's pretty acceptable as well. David Boot, Thomas Fleischmann, Johan Franzen, Corey Silman, Ryan Klo, Valtteri Filppula, Dallas Drake, Sergei Fyodorov, Elm, Afinogenov, Alfredson, whom I traded there. Udler, Kopechki, and Peter Pruka. So yeah, they have a pretty good team. Hopefully Alfie doesn't come to hunt us by having a strong game or anything like that. Hopefully he's pretty quiet. Alright, so we are at home. Jimmy Howard is going to be in net for the Red Wings, and Brian Elliott is going to be in net for us. And we won 4-1, so pretty good game. We outshot the Red Wings 38-20. Mark Streit was the first star with 2 goals. Chris Kelly was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Joe Thornton was the third star with 2 assists. 17,691 people in attendance for that game. Mark Streit was the first one to score in the first period from Chris Kelly and Patrick Eves. And it was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, we had Pavel Datsyuk score on the power play from Michael Ryder and Jason Spezza. Then Mark Streit scored his 5th on the power play from Jason Spezza and Joe Thornton. It was 3-0 after 2. And then in the third period, Detroit finally scored a goal, made it 3-1. But near the end of the game, Chris Kelly scored on the power play from Joe Thornton and Marian Osa. And it was 4-1, and Detroit ran out of time. And Eric Cole extends his goal streak to 6 games with a goal against the Sharks. Alright, and we are playing yet again right away against the Islanders at home. So the Islanders are not doing very good either. They are 12-25-6. That's good for 13th in the East. We are 2-0 against the Islanders this year. We won both in New York and in Ottawa. This game is in Ottawa. Let's see if we can continue to defend at home here. We're having a pretty good month so far. So Rick DiPietro is going to be in net for the Islanders. We are going to Ray Emery. And we won 3-2. Look at us. We outshot the Islanders 42-18. Andre Mazzaros was the first star. He had a goal and an assist. Zygmunt Palffy was the second star with a goal, and Jason Spezza was the third star with 2 assists. We had 16,890 people in attendance for this game. So the Islanders scored first, actually. And then Andre Mazzaros scored his 5th short-handed from Mark Streit and Ryan Callahan. It was tied at 1 after 1. Then nobody scored in the second period, and we had to wait until the start of the third period to see a goal. Sheldon Souris scored from Jason Spezza and Andre Mazzaros. It was 2-1 Ottawa. But then the Islanders tied the game up 59 seconds later. So it was tied at 2. But then shortly after, Brooks Laich scored his 10th from Jason Spezza and Pavel Datsyuk. And that was the game winner. Nobody else would score. And there was a fight between Sheldon Surrey and Andrew Ferrance. Oh, Patrick Eves got hurt. He is day-to-day with Old Cranon. Not sure what that means. He's just day-to-day. I guess we're not gonna put him on injured reserve. Alright, and now in a couple days we are going to be playing in Washington against the Caps. Denis Gauthier available, not picking him up. Kyle McLaren is suspended in Calgary. He's gonna miss 6 games. Ryan Miller ready for contact? Yeah, right. They should probably have a separate set of news for goaltenders. I don't think goaltenders participate in contact much. Alright. So we are about to play in Washington, so that's the team we faced first this month. The Caps have slid a little bit. They are now 28-13-3, which is good for 5th in the East. So they got passed by the Atlanta Thrashers at the top of their division. So we're on the road for 1 quick game, then we're going to be back home for a couple, and then back on the road for 4. 3-0 against the Caps this year. Let's see if we can make it a perfect 4-0. Brian Elliott and Tuukka Rask are going to be the goaltenders for that one. And we won 41. Pretty steady month so far. I like it. So we outshot Washington 39-20. Mark Streit, again, first star with 2 assists. Michael Ryder was a second star with a goal and an assist. And Marianosa was a third star with a goal and an assist as well. So Mike Fisher opened up the scoring in the first from Marianosa and Mark Streit. And then Michael Ryder scored on the power play to make it 2-0. And in the second period, Marianosa scored on the power play from Pavel Datsyuk and Zdeno Chara, made it 3-0 Sens after 2. And there was a fight between Jeff Alpern and Chris Kelly. Alright, and then in the third period, Washington finally scored to come to within 2. And then Jason Spezza scored his 20th on the power play in an empty net from Mark Streit and Michael Ryder. 4-1 is the final score. Antti Niittymaki is available. Oh god. Antero Niittymaki. I thought he would be a little bit more than an alpha star. I thought he had a few good stretches in his career. Maybe not. Brian Wilsey is back from suspension in LA, so back in the lineup. Strong game for Stephen Weiss playing for Montreal. He had 5 goals against the Islanders. Yeah, that's a pretty good game, buddy. Alexei Kovalev has achieved 1,200 points in his career with an assist against the Buffalo Sabres. Kovalev is 34 and he is still a 2.5 star player, still playing for the Rangers too. He didn't get traded a few times like he did in real life. So we are about to play the Carolina Hurricanes at home. The Hurricanes are 19-25-4, and that's good for 11th in the East, so not that great of a season for them. We are 1-1 against the Hurricanes this year, and actually the game we lost was at home. We lost 5-3, so let's see if we can avenge that. Steve Veliket is going to be in net for Carolina, and he's going to face Brian Elliott. And we won 5-2, so unless I'm mistaken, we are still undefeated in January. We outshot the Hurricanes 48-19. Anton Volchenkov was the first star of the game with 2 assists. Brooks Laich was the second star with 2 goals, and Joe Thornton was the third star with 2 assists. 15,976 people in attendance for this game. So Carolina scored first in the first period, and then Brooks Laich scored from Anton Volchenkov and Ryan Callahan. Then Jason Spezza from Joe Thornton. It was 2-1 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, Brooks Laich scored again from Anton Volchenkov and Mike Fisher. It was 3-1 after 2. And in the third period, Mark Streit scored from Pavel Datsyuk and Joe Thornton. Then Carolina scored. It was 4-2 at that point. But then Chris Kelly near the end of the game scored his 10th from Sheldon Surrey and Matt Stajan. And it was 5-2, the final score. Matt Stajan improves at right wing. Okay, buddy. Alright, and now in a couple days we are going to host the Tampa Bay Lightning. Brian Little in Atlanta is suspended. He's going to miss 6 games. And Patrick Eaves might be coming back soon. Dave Scatcherd is available. Yeah, he hasn't aged very well. Patrick Eaves almost ready. And there's been a trade between the Blues and the Ducks. So St. Louis is getting Jan Dennis and Logan McMillan for Alexander Zvitov and Petr Svoboda. Now, there were 2 Petr Svobodas, and they were both defensemen. Yeah, the other one retired. That's the one that never really did much in the NHL. Zvitov, okay, Jan Dennis. Yeah, that's kind of a... I guess Jan Dennis has 2 stars in this game, so... it's hard to tell who got really the upper hand. I mean, Zvitov might develop and be okay. I don't know. Alright, so we are hosting Tampa Bay, who are now 8th, 34-5, so good for dead last in the East. We are 2-0 against Tampa Bay this season. And we're going to send Brian Elliott. They are still going to Vasily Koshechkin. And we won 4-1. And we outshot Tampa Bay 46-21 in that one. Jason Spezza was the first star of the game with 2 goals and an assist. Joe Thornton was the second star with 2 assists. And Anton Volchenkov was the third star with a goal. 16,614 people in attendance for this game. Jason Spezza was the first one to score, on the power play, so he did that a lot this month. First goal of the game on the power play for Jason Spezza. That happened like 3 or 4 times now. Assisted by Michael Ryder and Mark Streit, and then Tampa Bay tied the game up. It was tied at 1, and then Zdeno Chara from Jason Spezza and Joe Thornton. It was 2-1 Sens after 1. Then in the second period we had Jason Spezza score on the power play from Joe Thornton and Mark Streit, 3-1 at that point. And then in the third period, in an empty net, Anton Volchenkov scored his 5th from Chris Kelly, and 4-1 is how this game ended. Jason Spezza extends his point streak to 12 games with 2 goals and an assist in that game. Nice little streak for Jason Spezza. Alright, and we don't have a whole lot of time to rest because now we are going to be playing in Philadelphia. Philly's doing not too bad, not too great. They are 24, 19, and 2. That's good for 9th in the East. And we are 1-0 against the Flyers this season. So now we are on the road for 4 games. And we're going to go to Ray Emery, and he's going to face Brent Johnson. And we won 3-0. So that's pretty good. We outshot the Flyers 43-12. Mike Fisher was the first star. He had 2 assists. Marian Osa was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Sheldon Zuri was the third star with an assist. Right, so nobody scored in the first period. Then in the second period, we had Marian Osa score short-handed from Sheldon Sur and Mike Fisher. Then Matt Stajan from Tim Gleason, and it was 2-0 Sens after 2. And then in the third period, we had Zdeno Chara score from Marian Osa and Mike Fisher. And 3-0 was the final score. And with that, Jason Spezza's point streak ended at 12 games. He did not get a point in that win. So that was nice while it lasted. That's still a far cry from... How many was it that he got a couple of seasons ago? I think like 28 games that he went or something like that. Oh, good news. Although we've been winning without him, but Ryan Miller is recovered. So let's bring back Ryan Miller, and sadly Ray Emery goes down. You did nothing wrong. You won your 5 games you played. You're just a victim of the numbers. Alright, so Blake Como is suspended with the Islanders. He's going to miss 4 games. Sidney Crosby extends his point streak to 12 games with a goal against Washington. Alright, so we are about to play the Panthers in Florida. So the Panthers are not doing all that great. They are 22, 26, and 1. That's good for 10th in the East. However, they have given us some problems this year. We have not been able to beat them so far. We are 0-2 against them. So it's the team that just gives us problems. Alright, so we're going to Ryan Miller in net. They are going to Roman Turek. And we won 2-1, so we finally won, but it was kind of tough. So we outshot Florida 54-13 and managed to win only 2-1. So Roman Turek is the first star of that game. He made 52 saves in that loss. Matt Molson is the second star with a goal, and Michael Ryder is the third star with a goal as well. So Florida scored first in the first period, and then there were no goals all the way to the start of the third period, where Michael Ryder scored from Pavel Datsyuk and Joe Thornton, and then Marian Osa from Mike Fisher. It was 2-1 Sens at that point. The Panthers could never tie the game, so that's how the game ended. And now it's Pavel Datsyuk's turn to be hurt. He's gonna miss about 4 days with a tender shoulder, and we're playing in Tampa Bay in 2 days. Right, Colin Fraser in Philadelphia is suspended. He's going to miss 3 games. Patrick Eves is back and healthy. Memorable night for Alex Burrows. So Burrows in my universe plays with the Capitals, and he had a hat-trick against Toronto. Right, so we are about to play the Lightning again, so might be a good opportunity to pad our stats. Since they're still struggling so much, they are now 9-35-5. Yes, it's still good for dead last in the East. That did not change. Alright, and it's in Tampa Bay. We are 3-0 against the Lightning this season. Ryan Miller for us. Vasily Koshechkin still in net for Tampa Bay. And we won 7-2. We outshot the Lightning 43-23. Patrick Elias was the first star. He had 3 assists. Andre Meszaros was the second star with 2 assists. And Joe Thornton was the third star with 2 assists as well. Alright, so we took a 4-0 lead into the first period with Martin Avlat opening up the scoring on the power play from Zdeno Chara and Patrick Elias. Then Chris Kelly scored from Marian Hossa and Andre Meszaros. Mark Streit from Brooks Laich and Joe Thornton. And finally Jason Spezza from Brooks Laich and Joe Thornton. It was 4-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, Anton Volchenkov scored from Patrick Elias and Andre Meszaros. It was 5-0 Sens after 2. Patrick Eves made it 6-0, assisted by Patrick Elias and Martin Avlat. Then Tampa Bay scored, and then we scored again. It was Sheldon Surrey's 5th from Patrick Eves. It was 7-1. Then Tampa Bay scored again, made it 7-2, but the gap was way too big. 7-2 was the final score. Jere Lehtinen has achieved 600 points in his career. He had an assist against the New York Rangers. So Jere Lehtinen is 34, still a 2.5-star player, playing for Atlanta. Got traded there quite a few seasons ago for Danny Eatley. Good game for Ilya Kovalchuk, who had a hat-trick 3 goals against the Rangers. Sidney Crosby extends his point streak to 13 games. He had a goal and 2 assists against Philadelphia. Doug Janik is suspended in Nashville. He's going to miss 6 games. And now something that I have never seen yet, or that we have not seen. Looks like there are All-Star games now. Alright, so... So we have 3 players that made the All-Star game. We have Joe Thornton, Jason Spezza, and Zdeno Chara. That's interesting. Wow, okay. Fastest skater competition was won by Team Red, 5-0. Breakaway challenge was won by Jason Spezza. The artist shot, Fedor Teuton. No, Jerome McGinley had the artist shot overall. That's interesting. That's new. I like it. Alright, so now it's the All-Star break. So we are playing in 4 days at the New York Islanders. Pavel Datsyuk might be ready soon. So with that said, we have 2 actual games left to play here in January. Ivan Hummel is available, not picking him up. Team Red edged by Team Blue. Oh, okay, so in the All-Star game, Shara got a goal and an assist, Spezza got a goal and 3 assists, and Joe Thornton got a goal and 2 assists. There you go. Dynamic passing leads to products of night for Joe Pavelski, who had a goal and 4 assists in that All-Star game. Jaromir Jagr had 5 assists in the All-Star game as well. Alright, and Pavel Datsyuk is completely recovered now, so the All-Star break did him some good. He got to heal the injury, and now he's ready to come back to action. Alright, so we are playing against the Islanders at Uniondale. They are 15-29-6. They are 12th in the East, not doing too good for the Islanders. We are 3-0 against them this season. Let's see if our perfect month is going to continue here. Ryan Miller for us, Roberto Luongo in net for the Islanders. And we won 10-2. We outshot the Isles 61-18. Marian Ossa was a first star. He had 2 goals and 4 assists. Jason Spezza was a second star with 2 goals and 2 assists. And Andre Mizaros was a third star with 2 goals and an assist. Let's see, there's going to be a lot of goals to say, so I'm going to try to not stumble too much. So Chris Kelly opened up the scoring on the power play from Anton Volchenkov and Marian Ossa. Then Marian Ossa scored his 10th from Zdeno Chara and Mike Fisher. It was 2-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, Andre Mizaros scored from Marian Ossa and Sheldon Surrey. Then Zdeno Chara from Jason Spezza and Andre Mizaros. 4-0 at that point. Then the Islanders scored, made it 4-1. But shortly after, Andre Mizaros scored again from Marian Ossa and Pavel Datsyuk. It was 5-1 after 2. And then Avlat scored from Streit and Callan. And then Anton Volchenkov short-handed from Marian Ossa and Tim Gleason. It was 7-1 at that point. The Islanders scored, made it 7-2, but then Spezza scored his 25th on the power play from Michael Ryder and Joe Thornton. Marian Ossa scored from Sheldon Surrey and Jason Spezza, and finally Spezza on the power play from Mark Streit made it 10-2. It was a massacre in New York. Marian Ossa had a great night with 2 goals and 4 assists. And then we are going back home for the last game in January, where we are going to face the Boston Bruins here in just a second. Sidney Crosby extends his point streak to 14 games with 2 goals and an assist against the Devils. Dynamic passing leads to productive night for Eric Cole, who had 4 assists against the Blues. Matt Jones available, not picking him up. Sidney Crosby extends his goal streak to 5 games with a goal and an assist against the Trashers. That was 15 straight with a point. Oh, aye. Jason Pominville is hurt against Florida. So Pominville plays for Buffalo. He's out. Oh. Ruptured tricep tendon. Yeah, that's gonna take a while to heal. They don't say, but it's gonna take a while. And if I remember correctly, he didn't play much. He got hurt for a while at the start of the season. Yeah, he only played 10 games. He's a point per game. He has 10 points in 10 games, but he cannot stay healthy. Alright. So it's been a season to forget for Jason Pominville. Alright, and we are about to play the Bruins. So Boston's pretty good. They are 30-16-4. That's good for 7th in the East. And we are 2-0-1 against them this season. So we are back home for this one game. Yevgeny Nabokov is going to be in net for Boston. He's going to face Ryan Miller. And we won 2-1, so we went a perfect month. There you go. Exactly what the doctor ordered there. So we outshot Boston 28-19. Joe Thornton was the first star. He had 2 assists. Patrice Bergeron was the second star with an assist, and Jason Spezza was the third star with a goal and an assist. We had 16,469 people in attendance for that game. Boston scored first in the first period, and they were up 1-0. Then Pavel Datsyuk scored in the second period from Jason Spezza and Joe Thornton. It was tied at 1 after 2. And then in the third period, Jason Spezza scored the game winner from Joe Thornton and Pavel Datsyuk. 2-1 is the final score, and there was a fight between Anton Volchenkov and Chris Neil. Oh, that's true. Chris Neil plays for the Bruins now. Alright, Blake Como is back from suspension with the Islanders. Dynamic passing leads to productive night for Mark Recchi, who had 4 assists against the Rangers. Colin Fraser is back from suspension in Philadelphia. Alright. And Player of the Month were named Jimmy Howard for Detroit and Sidney Crosby for Pittsburgh. So despite our perfect month, we didn't manage to get somebody that was tops for the month. Alright, so that's a little bit more like it. We are second in the East, so that's a little bit more where we're used to be. Pittsburgh's really good. They are first with 81 points. So we're 5 points behind them, and we have played 1 more game. So it's very possible that we don't finish first this year. Now in the West, Detroit's back on top. Edmonton, Dallas, Nashville, Columbus, Chicago, Anaheim, and San Jose. So Colorado here is in danger a little bit. Which usually they are pretty good. Let's take a look at our stats. Alright, so we have a few players that have had a good month. So Spezza is back to more than a point per game. He has 58 points in 52 games. Thornton is 52 in 52. Datsyuk is 41 in 50. Osa is 32 in 43. Eliash 29, and it really goes down from there. Our best defenseman is Zdeno Chara, 24 points in 52 games. So, and Mark Streit as well, 24 points in 46 for him. Alright, and in the league, so Danny Eatley is the best goal scorer with 38 goals this season. Spezza is 8 with 27. The best passers, because they are tied, are Backstrom and Jagger with 44 assists each. Joe Thornton is 3rd with 41. Then for the points, it's Ilya Kovalchuk with 71 points, best scorer in the league. Spezza is 9th with 58. Alright. Okay, so that's where we're at. So the next month is February. So as you know, if you have followed me since the start, that's the month where I usually decide who I am bringing back and giving another contract and who I let go. So we are going to figure that out, I suppose. But for now, for today, that's pretty much it. I do want to thank you for tuning in as usual, and if you've liked the video, feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that good stuff. And until I roll this game again, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.